Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today we are going to do my January wrap up. So these are all the books that I read in the month of January, and I ended up surprising myself because I started out the month in a reading slump. That's how 2019 started for me. I spent the first probably week and a half, almost 2 weeks, just not wanting to read anything. I was thoroughly enjoying the books I was reading, but I just did not have the motivation to pick them up and read. And when I did, I only would get maybe a chapter in, and then I would put it down. And I was a little frustrated. So I took a little bit of time away and I watched some TV shows, but I finally got back into it with the Buzzword ReadAthon. So that really helped pick me back up. And because of that, I ended up reading 8 books this month. So once I started that readathon, it was just boom, 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 boom. And then all I wanted to do was read. So I was very, very grateful for that readathon to come along right at the time when I really, really needed it. So 8 books to talk about. Here's what they are. All right, we will start out with the books that I read for the readathon because that's where my reading really started. I was finishing books finally, and I won't talk about these too much because I did talk about them in my reading vlog, which I will leave linked down below if you guys want to check that out. But that was me reading during the readathon, and I tell a lot more about my thoughts as I'm reading them and, you know, when I was finished. But the first one was Necessary Lies by Diane Chamberlain, and the buzzword for the readathon was lie. So the first 5 books here all have the word lie in the title in some way, shape, or form. This one is a historical book. It's set in the 1960s in North Carolina, and it follows a social worker who is realizing the outcomes and the implications that eugenics had on the citizens there, because eugenics was legal up until 1975, I believe. And what eugenics is the process of sterilization. And back then, the social workers who were helping families in need and, you know, doing all that had the power to recommend sterilization, and then the government would make a decision based on that. And so she found herself in a position where she could do this legally, and she was being pushed to do it, but she was fighting it because she did not believe it was okay. So very, very good. The audiobook was fantastic. I did listen to this on audiobook, and I really, really enjoyed it. It definitely brought up a lot of questions and, you know, what's right and what's wrong. And you kind of saw both sides, but man, it was very, very good. So I definitely highly recommend this one. And I gave it 4 stars. The next one I picked up for the readathon is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. And this was actually a review book for me as well. I got sent this before it was released last year, a year ago, and I finally read it. I don't know why it took me so long. And I ended up really enjoying this one. This one is definitely a psychological thriller. It's got twist after twist after turn after turn. It, you know, once a big twist hit, it just kind of kept going. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I gave this one 4 stars, but I will have a more in-depth review on this coming up in a video here soon. The next one I read was Let Me Lie by Claire McIntosh, and this one I read on my Kindle, and I got this one from NetGalley. And this one follows a woman who has lost both of her parents to apparent suicide. And she is kind of in the camp where she never really believed that they committed suicide. She thought that they were killed. And so she is kind of bringing things up, and things are starting to happen to where it may be able to be proven that they were killed versus committing suicide. So she brings in a retired police officer who's still kind of working in the offices, just not in the police form. And he takes interest in this case, and he kind of comes a little bit out of retirement in order to help her try to solve this case for her parents. And then some weird stuff starts happening, and it was really good. It definitely kept me guessing, and it took some turns I was not expecting, which was really great. And Claire McIntosh is just a really great thriller writer. So I'm happy that I was able to read that one, and I gave that one 4 stars as well. And then I picked up the group read for the readathon. They did pick a book where encouraged everyone to read it together, and that is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. And this one I read on my Kindle as well. It was also a NetGalley book, and this was my first 5-star read of the year. I absolutely loved this book, and it kept me guessing. It made me question almost everything along the way. Nothing was black and white. There was a lot of gray areas, and you're kind of understanding things that are happening, and then you're questioning everything and everyone, and you're not sure what the truth is. And I really liked the ending of it. Some people didn't like the ending. I was seeing some discussions happening about, people who didn't like the ending. I personally really liked it, but yeah, so it's really, really good. It keeps you guessing. It's creepy. And again, it was my first 5-star read, so I'm definitely excited to read more from Riley Sager for sure. And the last one that I picked up for the readathon, I didn't get completely through this during that week, but I did finish it up a day or two afterwards, and that is We Told Six Lies by Victoria Scott. And this is a book that was actually sent to me from the publisher in order to be a part of the blog hop for the release of this book. So I do have a full review video up for this already. I will go ahead and leave that linked down below if you guys want to check that out. But I really did enjoy this book. It was definitely a young adult book, and it was just over the top drama, all that kind of stuff. The emotions were a little bit like calm down, you're okay type thing for me personally, because I am 40. But the ending of this book, probably the last 50, 75 pages, I could not put down. I just flew through the last part of it, and I really, really enjoyed the way that it ended and what happened. And it was just like boom, boom, boom. And I was like, ah! So I really liked it. It was a solid 4 stars for me. And yeah, it's a good one. So make sure you pick it up. And the next one that I finished finally is The Paragon Hotel by Lindsay Fay. This was a book that was also sent to me for a review, and I do have a review video up for this one, so I will leave that link down below too. Lots of links this time. But I did enjoy this one. I gave this one 3 stars. I started by reading it physically, and then I ended up switching to the audiobook because I was just slumpy, and I felt like the audiobook would help me get through it a little bit faster, which it did. And I really like the audiobook narrator who narrates this one, and that's January Lavoie. She's really good. So I ended up listening to probably the last third of the book probably. And either way is great. Like, I enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed listening to it. And this is definitely a historical fiction. It takes place in the early 1900s majoritively in Portland, Oregon. And it follows a young girl who is white. She has escaped from Harlem, where she's kind of part of a mob scene there. She gets into some trouble, gets hurt, jumps on a train just to get as far away from these people as possible. She ends up meeting a train worker named Max, who is kind of the butler for her cart, I guess you could say, or her trailer or wherever she's staying on the train. And he realizes that she's all alone. She needs help. So when they get to Portland, he takes her to the Paragon Hotel to get her some help and house her until she can get back on her feet. And she's the only white girl in this hotel full of Black people in a very tumultuous time in Oregon at that time. So it was very good. I really liked it. I loved the characters. Blossom was my favorite. And yeah, so I was kind of expecting a little bit more out of it as far as being able to follow the story super well. The problem is it's kind of a dual timeline, but the timelines are so close together, it was hard to separate them. So I struggled with that a little bit. So this one ended up being a 3 stars. I really still enjoyed it, and I do recommend it. Definitely Lindsay Fay is a great writer. So yeah, but if you want to see my full review, definitely check it out down below. And the next one is a book that I started in December. Did I start this in December? I think so. And finally finished it towards the end of January. And that is World Without End by Ken Follett. Now, this is book number 2 after Pillars of the Earth. It's book number 2 in the Kingsbridge trilogy. And I read this with Brianna, who has a BookTube channel. Again, another link down below for you guys to go and check out, but she does BookTube as well. And I loved this. I think I loved it more than the first one. Yeah, it definitely got to the action a lot faster in this book. And there's action, you guys. I mean, this takes place in the 1300s. 1300s, like, that doesn't sound like an interesting time period, right? Oh no, there's so much drama. There was so much political things happening, and, you know, royalty, and just oh my gosh. Okay. I don't want to say too much, but if you liked Pillars of the Earth, like pick this up immediately. Seriously. It is fantastic. The characters are so intriguing. I liked the characters in this one better, which probably made me like it better. Just the stuff that they have to deal with and they have to go through and the stupid decisions they were making on some of them. And, you know, the villains in here are super villains. I mean, I'm talking like holy crap with how evil these people were. And oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Very, very good. Again, if you liked Pillars of the Earth, pick this up sooner rather than later. Like for real, I legitimately enjoyed it more and I loved Pillars of the Earth. So definite 5 stars. I'm planning to finish this trilogy this year for sure. And I loved this one. And the last book that I finished in the month of January was another buddy read that I did with Laura. And we read The Ice Twins by S.K. Tremaine. And this one was sent to me from Lisa for Advent. So I have an Advent book marked off of my list, which is really exciting. And this one I actually ended up listening to on audio because it was available and it was fine. It wasn't the best audiobook I've ever listened to. It was okay. So this one was interesting. It follows a family. They had 2 daughters, a set of twins. One of them dies in an accident. And so they're kind of, they're struggling with that and how they feel about it. Their marriage is not the greatest. And, their surviving daughter is definitely affected by all of this. And she's going through some hard times. And they end up going and living in a lighthouse that was passed down, I think, from their family, or it was part of their family somehow. So they go out there kind of as a fresh start. And they quickly learn they just cannot outrun their issues. Basically, they can't move away from their issues, and they continue. Now, this one started pretty slow. We got to almost halfway through and I was just like, okay, that's fine, but where's the intriguing things? And then some intriguing things started happening. So the last half of this book was definitely much better than the first half. So if you end up picking this up, get through the first half and then the second half, and it's not a long book, so you don't have much to kind of get through. But you don't know who to trust in here because they're all a bit crazy, like all of them. Not a single one of them is innocent here. And, things start coming out. There's a lot of assumptions being made. You're not sure what's true and what's not, what's real and what's not. And the big thing that I didn't like about it was the ending. I didn't like how the book was ended. So there is that. But for the most part, I was interested, the whole time, definitely more interested in the second half. And then the ending, I was just like, why would you end it like that? But still worth the read to me. So I gave it a 3.5 stars. And yeah, so 1 book off of my Advent list. Okay, guys, those are all the books that I finished in the month of January. I'm currently in the middle of a couple as well, which I will talk about in my February TBR tomorrow coming up. So make sure you check that out. And all the links for everything that I mentioned is down below. There's a lot of them. So make sure you go check out whatever it is you guys are interested in checking out for that. And I hope you guys had a great month. Let me know down below what you guys read in January. Was it a really good reading month for you? And what was your favorite, least favorite? Tell me all those things down below, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.